Even the brightest stars were really dim at some point, you know?
There. It's a nice day out today.
If there's something I really enjoy about video games, it's that they can really pull you into the environment that they are offering, that they're trying to build. That's what I really like about Etrian Odyssey. And I'm not gonna lie, this video might be a bit more gushy. So that's a horrible way to describe that. But you know, I love this series. It's probably my favorite. It's one of my favorites, point blank period. And one of the things I really like is that it's able to really pull you into its world. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you a little bit about where I learned about this series. And I apologize in advance because the audio quality is going to be all over the place in this episode. So, whatever.
It's fine with me. I can't see anything right now.
I started playing these games back in 2013, and I found them through a blog called Tiny Cartridge. They made a post about this game having a demo. And at this time, there was two games coming out that I was interested in. Etrian Odyssey 4, Something or Other of the Titan, and Fire Emblem Awakening. And they both had demos, so I got to get a taste for both, and I liked them both. And in the store the day of going in, I was going to buy Fire Emblem. That's just the one I kind of decided on, but
It doesn't even wear shoes. It doesn't even wear sandals.
I don't know if any people really remember this at this point, but Fire Emblem Awakening specifically had like a shipping delay or something with the physical copies. There was something up, like nobody had a copy of it to give, and it wasn't some like scheme. It was just like something happened. So I kept seeing Etrian Odyssey 4 on the shelf, and after the third week of going in, I was like, you know what? You're there for me. He's not. So you're going out.
Good. Good. Remember that time we saw all those frogs?
I should probably talk about the games a little bit and what they are, so let's do that real quick. In these games, there's like three basic components that if you put it into a pot and dumped it out, you would get these games. So here's what they are. One, you explore these labyrinths, these twisting and winding tunnels and rooms. It's a labyrinth. You've seen mazes, you've seen what they look like. They're great. I'll get into that a little bit more in a second, but you're exploring it. In these labyrinths, there are monsters, and you fight them to keep going forward. And you just want to keep going and going and going. The goal is to keep going through the labyrinth. Two, the characters you go in with, typically, that's a weird delivery. Two, the characters you go into the game with, typically, are the characters you've picked based on portraits the game offers you. You pick whichever portrait you like the most out of the class you think sounds neat, and you give them a name, and there you go, that's your character. They don't talk, they don't have dialogue, they don't have that. That is truly up to you if you decide to imprint that onto these characters. A backstory and, you know, that kind of thing. You don't have to. You could play this game just for the mechanical aspects of, like, you know, the game mechanics and all that, but personally, I think it's pretty fun to just imagine why these characters are here. It's sort of a Dungeons and Dragons kind of feel, and I don't really play Dungeons and Dragons that much, so I imagine maybe that's what people who really play it get out of it, just that role-playing element. Three, and this is probably my favorite part, definitely the part that sold me on this series, you make the map. Since you're in these labyrinths, like I mentioned earlier, you're going through these winding and twisting tunnels, and that can get pretty confusing real quick, but you draw the map on the bottom DS screen, and I'll show a quick demonstration of that. Okay, so I just did this to illustrate a point, but like I have this little room, right? That's me. And I look up here and I can just look left and right and see, hey, this room, it's like about 1-2, it's like 2x6. So I can go back down here. This is what we should do on a camera. I can just go down here and just draw that out. Oh, I'm looking at the camera while I do this, but like, ain't that neat? And all this entire map, I made that. I made this. That's pretty good. And the reason why I think that's pretty good is that I think it creates this like little nice extra layer of immersion. Because since you're drawing out the map physically, it creates this really interesting feeling when you're playing the game. And that being like, I'm drawing the map so I can get through this labyrinth, which is like kind of video gamey, but since I'm actually drawing the map with my hands and writing down the notes that I would write, it feels like my map, which makes me feel like I am there, kind of. In, you know, a suspension of disbelief sort of way. It's so good. It's so good. I draw on the edges of the map, the borders that are empty, which most people who play this game will tell you not to do that. I'll do it anyways. I like to make goofy pictures with the colors I'm given.
I think my favorite part of any of those games, though, is just drawing the map.
One more thing that I think also helps really like sell this, or at least, you know, for me, is the music. It's pretty dang good. It was composed by Yuzo Koshiro. I hope I'm saying that right. I think I am. But yeah, you might know him, if anywhere, from Streets of Rage, among other games, but I was first primarily introduced to his work through these games, and they're good. In the earlier entries of this series, when they were on just the Nintendo DS and not the Nintendo 3DS, they were more synthy, because I used synths, because the DS had. But as the series went forward, there's more like actual instrumentation going on. However, with the newer entries, you know, we have actual instrumentation, but as a bonus, we have these synth FM things still going on, like a synthy version, like a retro sounding version of the soundtrack. It's really good. These compositions go from relaxing, which is what you heard at the start of the video, that was from Etrian Odyssey 4, to like very battle music, because you know these games are, you go into fights, so it's a really nice range. It's good. I love it. It's great. Fantastic. So yeah, Etrian Odyssey, for me, really lets me soak in that environment that it's giving me, and I really like that. I hear people say, you know, they call video games a form of escapism, and I guess that kind of... I've never really liked that term too much for everything, because I'm not really escaping my real life. I like my life. Maybe for others this term applies, but I have good health, I have good friends, I'm doing things I like, so when I play games, it's not necessarily to escape anything, it's just to kind of go somewhere, to just really get immersed in like a world and the things that it has to offer. And I love that. That's something I love so much about video games. And I'm sure, I've said this before in other videos, that's not a video game exclusive thing. I'm absolutely sure people feel that same thing with like books and movies and whatever else comes to mind. But dang, I think video games can do such a great job at making an environment and a world for you to just get lost in. They just have an extra advantage because it's directly inputted by you, the player. So I don't know, maybe this all doesn't matter. I just really wanted to talk about Etrian Odyssey for a little bit. I love these games. I recommend you play these games, and I recommend you have a good day. See you later.